Welcome back, guys. So in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to blur objects in PixelLab. Yes, there are times after designing you need to go outside. You need to look for other apps to blur your images or objects before you bring them back into PixelLab. But in this tutorial I'm going to show you how you can blur images or objects right here in PixelLab. All right. So here in my workspace, I have this image of an orange, right? There's no background on it. So I'm going to use this as an example to demonstrate how to create the blur effect in PixelLab. All right. So you can import your, whether it's an image, background or no background, it still works. So this, I'm going to be using this image. So I'll select it, and then once you select your image the settings will change automatically. So I'll scroll down to 3D shape. I'll tap on that 3D shape and enable it. So already this shape now is no longer just 2D, this is 3D shape, but you are not going to see it until you rotate it, unless you rotate it using 3D rotate. As you can see, of course it's not going to look around behind it, but you can see that it's now 3D. You can see that. So what is going to happen is, after coming to this 3D shape and you enable it, the default that the view type will be on is on perspective, the first one here, but we are going to change it from perspective to oblique, right? So we just tap on that oblique. Of course it's going to bring out some weird stuff, but you can just adjust the depth, right? I like leaving my own at 5 somehow. So once you enable your 3D shape, move from the perspective to the oblique option, then you can reduce your depth if you want to, then tap OK. So now opacity go to opacity and reduce your opacity. So as you can see, the more you reduce your opacity, the blurrier it becomes, as you can see. Now somebody might say, why don't you just come to the opacity and reduce it direct? What's the need for 3D? If you come to your opacity direct and reduce it, it will not work. It's not going to work. So when you activate your 3D shape and you move it from the perspective to oblique option, when you come to your opacity here, you can see that when your opacity goes down, it becomes blurry. So when you take it up, the image returns to normal, as you can see that. So I like keeping my own at around 10. Let me leave it here anyway. So mark that. Then I will just enter color filters, because once you reduce the opacity, the very object itself begins to fade. So we'll just come down to color filters and do a few touch. So I'm going to increase the saturation a little bit, increase the saturation, increase the brightness, increase the contrast, just little. If you do that too much, you might actually lose, you might not have the best listing again. So according to what you like, you can just, you can change your settings according to what you prefer. So I'm going to change the background to something white so that you can see the effect very, very clearly. So as you can see, we have been able to blur this image right here in PixelLab. And of course, it might not be as perfect as using tools that are dedicated for blurring images, right? But of course, if you're in a haste and you don't feel like using other apps, you can just do them right here. So like I said, if you reduce your opacity, the more you reduce the blurrer, as you can see, the blurrier it becomes, as you can see it. So it gets blurred there when you reduce the opacity. So when you take it to the highest, the image returns to normal. When you take it to the lowest, it begins to blur. You can see that. Now for people that do social media designs, you want to add that maybe Facebook logo, YouTube logo, but you want it to be blurry or any kind of element, maybe on birthday designs and all of that. You can actually use these steps to do this without having to go outside and using another tool altogether. So if you found this video helpful, please let me know in the comments. If this is your first time watching my video, please don't forget to share, like and subscribe. Here on this channel I post updates on smartphone graphic design, from PixelLab to Lightroom and AI. Yeah, so for now I've been just been posting around PixelLab, but I hope in the future I'll bring in more tools. Yeah, see you guys all the time.